In this video, I'm going to review how Jobready WBL can be used to manage any type of work-based learning experience. The tabs that you see across the top here on the work-based learning dashboard are custom options that can be set to anything that you would like to track. There are multiple ways that we can show you this information based on the type of experience that it is. What you see here for the apprenticeship and cooperative education, internship tabs, these are all we call student-based experiences where we're tracking visits with employers, employer information forms, clearances, whether they have insurance, documents that students provide like work permits and driver's license. We have a digital form signing system built into the application. So we have different classifications here for the types of forms that you may be using. And we also have work logs and pay stubs that can be used to track hours for student participation in these types of experiences. We also have the ability to track events like field trips, guest speakers, career day, mock interviews, anything that you could think of, again, can be kind of captured here. And then finally, we also have the ability to track hours for school-based enterprise, service learning, any what we call project-based experiences, where if I need to create groups of students that are working together, I can. And then we can also provide hours for those students in bulk. If I wanted to put some notes here, I could. Let's say that for my student store here, everybody did inventory today. So I can quickly assign those hours this way. By default, we show all experiences that you've added here, but you can use the toggle to show ones that just need your attention. So basically, if it has a check mark, you're good. If you have a needs attention symbol, then something needs to be followed up on. The nice thing about this is all of these status icons are interactive. So if I see that my on-site visit hasn't been completed for demo student yet. If I take a look at this top student, though, I have it set for every 30 days to give me a reminder to check in with the employer on it. However, if I click here, I can see a history of those visits. I can then go through and add a new visit in, and multiple students working for the same employer. I can document that here. Mileage reimbursement, description of what my visit look like, and of course I can add photos and other types of attachments there as well. Now, again, I mentioned earlier that we have a digital form signing system built in, so take a look at that very quickly here. But if you've ever used Adobe Sign, DocuSign, works similar. So here's our interface for building out these forms. If you have a PDF file, upload it. We detect these fields for you, or you can add, your own fields here as well. And each one of these are color coded. You determine who's going to be signing that particular field or who's going to fill that field out. And then the beauty of this is we can pre-fill data from your student information system. So we have an interface that we can use to integrate those two systems. And we can also do single sign-on with Google or Microsoft, ClassLink, Clever. We support a number of different technologies there. But this is all a drag and drop interface here, so you can modify this as you see fit. And then as we get those form templates created, we can apply them here in different categories. So employer forms are forms that are specific to the employer and not an individual experience. So here, this is tied to EduReady 360 as an employer. And once I've done my safety survey here, if any subsequent students are working for that particular employer, it will show that this survey has been completed. Now, other forms like enrollment forms are going to be your training plan, your training agreement, any of the other initial forms that should be done before the student's placed. And then I can see the status here. If I have any of it need attention, like this training plan that needs to be submitted here, I click the submit option. The system will determine who the signers are. And again, the really nice thing about the integration with your student information system is We know who the student's guardian contact is. We already can pull that information that already exists. We're able to determine the employer and those sort of things. You can override the signers if you want. Once you get that form sent out, the other nice thing here is I can always see the current status, who the current signer is. I can even view a PDF copy of this at any time. That way, if I did need to print this out or fill it out by hand, I can do that. There's an audit trail here that shows you the status of that. And if you notice, there's a email failure icon here because this particular form had a problem with email delivery. So we show that to you here and alert you as well. But you can change the signers at any time. So go in and modify those. You can force a reminder to be sent, but we do that automatically for you every 3 days. Again, if I want to, I can upload or mark that's not required. Now, going through the other options here, so employer documents, typically this is going to be used to track things like workers' comp insurance, liability insurance, state or federal background checks. But for any of these, I can mark that I simply have it or don't, or you can set an expiration date and we'll let you know if that policy needs to be updated. Students can log in and provide anything that you wish for the student documents. Again, all these are custom options, so you can set this up wherever you'd like. But you can see whether they've been uploaded or not. If it's something like a work permit that may not be required, you can mark it as such. So then we have work logs and pay stubs here. So if I log in as a student, I'll show you what the work log piece of this looks like. But essentially, we have a calendar view here where students can put their work schedule. That way, as a coordinator, you're able to see who's going to be working on Wednesday here and be able to determine whether they should be in school or not. But to add an event to the calendar, let's say we're going to be working Tuesday and Thursday in the afternoon here. Student can just drag it on the calendar and maybe make an adjustment here to the times. Just have it span multiple days if needed. And this is all drag and drop, so I can just move that around. We do have a mobile application that you can use. Students can download for their iOS or Android device, and that will allow them to clock in and out. So a little before 1 o'clock, we'll give them a reminder to do that. At the end of the day, give them another reminder to clock out. We capture their GPS location to make sure that the student is actually at work whenever they clock in or out. And then here they can enter a description of what they did. We can then also tie this to state standards, competencies, skills. So this is a list here for Pennsylvania, and then it's searchable. So I can say pin sync, and sure enough, this is one of the tasks that I should be working towards. They can search for any other potential keywords like water, and let's say I also roughed in the water supply lines. We'll go ahead and save this. Now, we can just allow the student to enter those items in, or we can have an employer approve those. So right now, these hours are not approved yet, but as a student, I can choose whatever experience that I want to submit this for. And I will then see a list of different events that I haven't submitted. And I'll just select a couple items here, but normally they would pick a week or two to get approved. And when we click on submit, the system will then generate the essentially a timesheet, what we call work log. And this will have your school logo and information here, break this down by week, list the skills and description of work that the student provided, number of hours, weekly, grand totals. And then at the end here, we have a verification page, which you can customize. This is just an example. In this case, I'm asking the student to sign off that the hours that they submitted is accurate. They just type their name, or they can draw out a signature here if they want, add a comment, and then send that to the employer. The employer will review this. If everything looks good, they sign the same way the student did. Otherwise, they can click on decline and specify why they're refusing to sign this work log. Once it is signed by all parties, these get highlighted green, updates the approved hour count, and then we're good to go. Now, students can also upload pay stubs. Here's where they can upload any documents that you ask of them. There are articulation agreements that you can list for post-secondary partners where students can see that. There is a career exploration component here. This uses data provided by ONET to show occupations that match whatever the student had here for the different things of their interest. There is a list of employers, and we of course have the whole database of all of your employers and contacts, but students or teachers can look for these as well. They can find them by, location or types of opportunities that they are willing to be involved in, career clusters, etc. We have a portfolio component as well. Allows the student to put in their personal interests, goals, achievements, resume, recommendations. Best work's an area for them to do a write-up on a particular project that was important. They have access after they graduate as well, so you can provide transcripts, report cards, etc. Recognitions like awards and certificates. And then the future ready section is custom. All of that information is then used to generate this portfolio, which is a public view for the student to kind of promote themselves. They can track industry certifications earned, resume, etc. Finally, there is also an eligibility component to this. So if you want to, you can have students apply and then approve whether they're able to search for opportunities, job listings that employers can post or not. If I go to field trips as an example of an event, I'll walk through this real quickly here, but you can choose whatever type of event that you have, dates and times, and then who is going to be involved in this. So for this field trip, maybe I'm going to take my entire class out here or multiple classes. Want to do this by school or course section or individually. Choose any employers that I want to either invite or note that they were a part of this. Career cluster and pathway for reporting purposes, location of the event, description, etc. So once I have done so, then I can see a list of, say, all of my students in my class. From here, we can submit forms as well. So in bulk, if this were a field trip, I could send out a field trip request form, or after the event is over, I could do a completion form to capture, what they learned and that type of thing. Mark who was present or absent, send out invitations where they can RSVP. And from here, we also have QR codes for both attendance and registration. So once you scan that, that adds you either as a potential participant or as having attended the event. There's also an advisory board module where you can manage all of your committees, list all of the members for each of those committees, and even link to existing employer contacts, teachers, list their contact information, type of representation that they're providing to the committee, their role on the committee, the stakeholder composition here as well for your state reporting needs. And then once we have our advisory boards set up, you can create agenda templates. So if you meet in the spring and the fall, you can build those out here. And once you're ready to actually create your meetings, do so. Each of your teachers can customize their own agendas, but you'll see a list of your attendees. You can send an email invitation out, which will have a live link to that agenda where they can take notes and view file attachments, etc. They can then also RSVP if they plan to attend the meeting. And when it comes time to actually hold the meeting here as an instructor, I can call the meeting to order, see a list of my attendees, mark who was present, absent, excused, go through each of the different agenda items, add notes, etc. Once the meeting is over, then I can use the system here to formally submit my meeting minutes by noting anything that was discussed or any actions that were taken for each agenda item, review the notes that were taken here as well, and then your administration can send a response back to the committee. There is a career planning component where you can create different activities, like in this case, upload a resume, can be defined for all 12th grade students, for instance, and you can easily track who has completed these activities or who has not. There is also a follow-up study module that we recently added to where you can send out questionnaires and get responses back from all of your graduates. And that's it in a nutshell.